Ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor to be back, and I thank you guys so much for subscribing to the AFC podcast. And I want to talk about this little girl that you guys see on my screen and this narrative that I've been talking about for a long time. And I don't know if you guys can see this, and I can't really grab my shirt because of my hand being messed up. But if you guys can see this logo that I have on my shirt, this is a logo that I created, the AFC, and it's called hashtag when you date thugs, you date death. Hashtag date thugs, date death, the AFC podcast. That's what this logo stands for. So the reason that I created that is because I want us to start thinking about our dating choices, especially when we are the custodial parents, and think about who we are putting our children around and why. Okay? So I think that comes with a high level of responsibility. If people don't want that responsibility, then I don't think they should be parents, right? But nonetheless, there's a very tragic story coming out of California, and the mother of the missing California girl, whose body was recently discovered, and it was discovered in a bathtub, spoke to police about her daughter's horrifying final days. Authorities reportedly said in a police report supporting the woman's murder charge. And yes, we're talking about more bathtubs. Hashtag more bathtubs. That's going to end up being a new hashtag. And the reason why we're going to use that is because so many of these children's stories, as funny as it is, or ironic, I guess is probably a better word, that all of these horrendous things happen to these children. And somehow, a lot of these stories always involve a bathtub in some weird way. So this girl's body was discovered in a bathtub. But let me give you guys some more details. And let me say this. The details are probably going to shake you to the core as well as my opinion, but that is your disclaimer if you need to exit the video, okay? Samantha Johnson, who was 31 years old. Let me see if I can get her face up on the screen. Let me see if I can go back for a moment. I need to get a clear picture of the mother. This fool, this creature on my screen, that is Samantha Johnson, who's 31 years old, and told investigators that her 8-year-old daughter by the name of Sophia Mason, who is this princess right here, that beautiful smiling princess right there, this little 8-year-old girl had been living in a shed, not a house, not a bedroom. This little girl had been living in a shed behind the house the two shared with Johnson's boyfriend, Dante Johnson. And let me tell y'all this. I think that is the most disgusting thing ever. The fact that in our society, the way that we're doing things nowadays is we're so quick to produce kids by anybody and everybody. Because clearly we don't love each other. We're just out here just plucking each other, making babies, and just hoping for the best. I think that's a horrible way to bring children into this world, right? Because clearly there's no love. So anyway, so you have this situation where mom has a baby by a man. They weren't together. They didn't get married. And mom and this man are probably not getting along. But next thing you know, mom finds somebody that she finds attractive, somebody that she likes. And next thing you know, boom, this man gets to be around this child as much as he wants and do whatever he wants to this child. I want y'all to remember that detail, bookmark that in your brain. But mom and boyfriend were living inside the house, and they forced the little girl outside the house. And you got to be thinking, what type of mom would do that? Do we have any mothers in the chat? Do y'all know any parents that would do something like that to their own kid? I don't know any. I can't even say I haven't heard of this, because so many stories on my channel, I've heard of people forcing their kids in garages, forcing them under steps, forcing them in basements, and all kind of other weird stuff. Hiding them in cars and closets and attics. I can't say I haven't heard it. But nonetheless, this is also coming by way of the Merced Police Department, so don't get mad at me. And I'm getting this from lawandcrime.com, so thank you for the article again. The report also states that Johnson and Sophia, mom and boyfriend, the report also states that Johnson said Sophia was being abused both physically and sexually by 34-year-old Dante Jackson. Let me see if I can get Dante Jackson's face on the screen. This dude got a gap so wide in his mouth, looked like you could kick a field goal right down the middle of his face. Right? It's good. Funny looking ass. And I want y'all to remember that I believe is a mugshot picture. If I'm not mistaken, I think that's where they pulled that picture from. It could be a current mugshot, could be an older one. But the fact that people take pictures like that in mugshots and laugh, I think is just disturbing in itself. But yes, physically and sexually abusing. So that would mean the mom either knew and the mom didn't care, but the mom allowed it. And like, and if you didn't, then why would you allow any man to be alone with your kid? This is not his child. He is not the father to this kid. He's not a babysitter. There's no way in hell I would ever leave any damn girlfriend around my daughter. Just anybody. I'm just really flabbergasted by this. But a claim that police found evidence to support all of this during their investigation. Now, in a phone interview, Sophia's grandmother by the name of Sylvia Johnson, and I think I have a video of her, so I'll show y'all that here in a moment, told Law and Crime that she misses her always happy and loving granddaughter whose funeral she is now planning. For years, she said she had custody of 8-year-old Sophia, but then lost the girl to her daughter, which is the little girl's mother. She said that in those final weeks before her death, Sophia no longer sounded like the bubbly little girl that she used to be. The mom, this is totally avoidable. And the mom clearly didn't want this little girl inside the house. So you'd have to ask yourself, and I want to see if anybody in the chat catches this. The mom clearly did not want this little girl around, especially around while she's trying to deal with her boyfriend. So why did she fight her own mother for custody of the little girl? Anybody want to take a guess? Does anybody remember what we call that here at the AFC podcast? Huh? Anybody know our famous hashtag that people want to get so mad at me and say that I'm wrong and I'm a jerk for creating? Babies for benefits. She took this girl for the benefits that she could collect off of this kid, whether it be for housing, food stamps, Section 8, whatever you want to call it, but there was a benefit, even child support could also be considered a benefit. Because you didn't love the kid, why would you take the kid back? Why would you fight for custody? Just to put this girl in a shed while you and your man shack it up in the house together. When she was perfectly fine with her grandmother, right? To me, that it seems like the babies for benefits theme would make sense here, but let's keep going. Now, according to the Merced Sun Star, Johnson told investigators that the last time she saw her daughter alive was on February the 10th. The last time she saw her daughter alive. But let's keep going. On that day, she took Sophia out of the shed to clean the feces that was covering her body, according to the report. It's just... these children deserve so much better than this. Johnson then left the girl alone in a bathroom with Jackson, the man she knew was abusing her daughter both physically and sexually at the time, authorities reportedly claimed. She reportedly told investigators that soon after she heard a thud. The next day, God dog. The next day, so a day had passed. The next day, a sliding door was left open in the home, the report said. And Johnson assumed her physically weakened daughter had gone out on her own. Johnson stated that she believed that in her mind that Sophia had run away. This scenario is most parents' worst nightmare, but Johnson reportedly elected not to search for her daughter. Let me say that again. She elected not to search for her daughter. Can y'all hear me? I don't know if my microphone is working. I don't know if this hot air that I'm blowing out my mouth is really doing anything, if it's going through the mic and going through the internet and reaching anybody right now. This alleged mother, person that you see on my screen, not this fool. Let me get him off my damn screen. This one. She elected not to search for her daughter or even report that her daughter was missing. Jackson told Johnson that your daughter, Sophia, does not want to be with you and does not want to be your daughter anymore. Johnson stated that Jackson told her this, so this is the reason why she stopped looking for Sophia. That is so damn stupid. It was exactly 1 month after Johnson last saw her daughter that police officers discovered Sophia's body. After days of searching for Sophia in response to an at-risk missing juvenile report, officers with the Hayward Police Department, HPD, said they finally located the residence where Johnson was living with Jackson. HPD officers said they faced more than one hurdle when Johnson and Jackson refused to answer the door to the residence, so they waited until Johnson left home. Stupid is as stupid thugs. On March the 10th of 2022 this month, so this is roughly about 16 days ago from today, as detectives continued their investigative efforts, it was determined probable cause existed to arrest Johnson for corporal injury on a child, HPD wrote in a press release. Detectives also received information Johnson may be at an address in Newark. Hayward PD officers responded to the area, located Johnson, and took her into custody. That's the mother. MPD then worked to get a search warrant for the home where Johnson and Jackson were living with Sophia, and this is where they discovered the missing girl who they said had ran away. Y'all remember that part? They said they ran away. She ran away because she didn't want to be with them no more. That is also where they claim Jackson disappeared, launching a nationwide search for the accused murderer. The Merced Sun-Star reports that another hitch in the investigation came on the day police arrested Johnson. Jackson was with her at the time, but having not yet discovered the body, officers did not have any information to lead them to believe that Jackson had any possible involvement in the child abuse case, according to the police document. The Merced County District Attorney announced on Monday that both Johnson and Jackson are being charged with murder and child abuse. Now, I don't know why they skipped the part where they found the little girl, because they put it at the beginning, but I thought they should have maybe put it back in here. But they said they found the little girl in a bathtub. Found her in a bathtub. They're being charged with murder and child abuse, as well as Johnson's previously announced charges of corporal injury on a child and obstruction of an officer's investigation. Now, according to the grandmother, the family is now preparing to wage a separate battle with social services, believing they could have prevented Sophia's death and claiming they ignored numerous warning signs. Now, how many of you guys believe that social services is wrong, and social services screwed this up, and they should be sued. If you ask me, I don't see that the mother gave them any reason, any good reason to give custody back to her, especially after losing custody to the grandmother. The little girl was fine with the grandmother, but it's just something about a mom and a boyfriend. So let's just look at it like this. Let me give you guys a scenario, and y'all tell me if I'm wrong. If I had to choose between a child living with a mother and a boyfriend compared to a grandmother, if you ask me, I'd say give the child to the grandparent. If I had to just choose, just on the surface, not knowing anything about the two entities, just in general, I would say give the child to the grandmother for a lot of different reasons. An older person, a more patient person, a person who's been there and done that, a person who should, at this point in time in life, should be a lot more stable. Financially, emotionally, spiritually, a lot of different ways. So that's the reason why I give that answer, why I would say just on the surface, the mother should have never had the kid, especially having a boyfriend, right? Social workers, law enforcement, everyone ignored Sophia, said Sylvia. We will not let another child fall through the cracks, and they have a GoFundMe that has been launched with the intention of getting the funeral cost. So let me see if I can give you guys that GoFundMe real quick. I think I have it here. Hold on. Yep. It was actually coming across my screen right there. So this is the GoFundMe for those who want to find the official GoFundMe, help cover Sophia Mason's funeral expenses. They're asking for $15,000. They've already collected $11,254. So I don't see any reason why they won't be able to collect the rest of what they're asking for. But nonetheless, let me go ahead and give you guys the fair usage, and let me show you guys a couple of news videos. Here we go. Let's get it. Let me see here. My bad. Here we go. All right, here we go. Federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyrighted motion pictures, videotapes, or video discs under certain circumstances without the authorization of the copyright holder. This is called fair use. It is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe of copyright under 17 U.S.C. 107. All right, sorry about that. Anytime this system goes through an update, I promise you guys, it is not me doing this. The system always changes something and thinks that another mic source is supposed to be the default. My bad. Let's get it. And if you guys are watching, do me a favor. We need at least one thumb up for everybody that's watching. So if you'll hit that thumb up, please share these stories because they are so important to get these children's stories heard, okay? So let's share that together. Hit that thumbs up.
On the run. Tonight, police are trying to track down a man wanted in connection with the death of an 8-year-old girl, Sophia Mason. And now they're hoping that a reward might help. Sophia Mason's body was found at a home in Merced earlier this month. She was reported missing after relatives didn't see her since December of last year. Her mom now facing murder charges.
Now, police believe Dante Jackson might be in the Bay Area. You're looking at him right there. Now they're offering a $3,000 reward for information that leads to his arrest. As NBC Bay Area Sharon Katsuda reports, it's an agonizing wait for Sophia's family.
It's called a bunny.
Okay, go ahead.
I am a bunny.
This is Sophia Mason doing what 8-year-olds are supposed to do, singing for fun and spending time with family. But tonight, the family is focused on bringing her killers to justice.
We'd love
the public to help us get justice for Sophia.
Police have arrested Sophia's mother, Samantha Johnson, but are still looking for Dante Jackson, Samantha's boyfriend. Both face murder charges. The hunt started when they found Sophia dead at his home in Merced earlier this month. Tonight, police believe Jackson is in the Bay Area. Sophia's family hopes the reward will lead to Jackson's arrest because they say he holds many answers as to how she died.
We still to this day don't know exactly how she died or what happened. We're waiting on autopsy reports to come back to us. And unfortunately, at the time of death, her body had been decomposed for some time. We don't know how much time, but they needed dental records to verify her identity. The Hayward community held a candlelight memorial for Sophia in the days after her body was found. Her cousin believes this could all have been prevented had police and child services acted sooner. The family filed a missing persons report earlier this month, and police tracked her mother to a New York hotel. And that's where they arrested her on the child abuse endangerment and asked her, like, where is Sophia? And she was giving suspicious answers. And finally, she tells them, like, she's at this address. And apparently Dante was there also at the time. And they didn't know, or they didn't have enough evidence. They didn't know he was connected.
Sophia's family say they hope Dante will be found soon.
I know that there are more kids out there like her. And who knows how many, and if any, he's hurting now.
In the East Bay, Sharon Katsuda, NBC Bay Area News.
Family members of an 8-year-old Hayward girl who was found dead last week tell us tonight she never should have died, that there were plenty of warning signs, but that no one would listen, no one would take action. Our investigative reporter Jackson Vanderbecken has the exclusive story from Sophia Mason's family, who say they tried to protect her from her own mother.
Sophia Mason was just 8 years old when she died.
Little girl, playful, nurturing, loved to dance, loved to sing. She loved everybody.
For much of her short life, Sophia, called So-So, lived here in Hayward with her grandmother. Police records show in January of last year, officers took Sophia from those relatives and turned her over to her mother, Samantha Johnson, who was claiming her sister, Emerald, was threatening and harassing her. Sophia's godmother, Tia Lennon, says she pleaded with police not to take her.
So me and my mom went over there and we begged the officers, please don't take this baby. Please don't. And they were like, well, why? If somebody's telling you not to take a kid, you probably don't want to be a little combative. You want to be concerning.
Emerald Johnson says she told police her sister had shown little interest in raising her daughter, and she soon became so concerned for the girl's well-being that she filed this missing persons report, claiming Samantha had a history of prostitution, mental illness, and drug use, and often lived on the streets. A month later, authorities located Samantha and Sophia and set up a meeting with police and Child Protective Services. Family members say Sophia told them she had been abused.
Sophia was crying, she was shaking.
But child care officials said there wasn't anything they could do. Police confirmed they received another report of possible abuse several months later. That included pictures of suspicious bruising, but state agents again left Sophia with her mother. Family members say they wanted to talk to Sophia, but her mom kept saying she was sleeping, before finally telling families she had given Sophia away, prompting them to file a missing persons report last week. Days later, authorities in Merced found Sophia's body in a house where they believe she was staying with her mother. Emerald Johnson says Child Protective Services could have done more to help Sophia and get to the truth before it was too late.
I don't even think I have the words. I feel like her blood is on their hands.
Samantha Johnson is in jail on murder charges. Police are looking for boyfriend Dante Jackson. Jackson Vanderbecken, NBC, Bay Area News.
We start with the heartbroken family of an 8-year-old Hayward girl now feared dead. Her mother charged with her murder. KPIX5's Betty Hughes spoke with family members who say this tragedy could have been avoided.
Julia and Brian, the family says that Sophia Mason was last seen in December, and tonight her mother is behind bars. Police are on the hunt for her boyfriend after her child's body was found in his home. Now, Sophia's cousins believe it.
At this moment, we don't believe that the boyfriend has been caught. So again, that is the number one concern. Let me see if I can get his face up on the screen again. That's who they're looking for. If you see this dude with this big wide gap in the middle of his face, this alleged child molester, make sure you call the police, call 911, call somebody. Get him reported. He needs to be in jail immediately.
To be her and say they've been concerned for the 8-year-old's well-being for years. This is Sophia Mason, a bubbly, playful 8-year-old who family members say loved her adoptive grandmother, Sylvia Johnson. Life. Sophia's mother, Samantha Johnson, has now been arrested for murder. Yesterday, police found a child's body in her boyfriend's home in the city of Merced. Dante Jackson is now on the run and wanted for murder.
Devastated, shocked, and angry. Just seems unreal. But thinking about how this could have been avoided and just knowing that it's terrible and it's a tragedy.
Sophia's cousins say the child last spoke with her grandmother over the phone 2 weeks ago.
But when Sylvia, her grandmother, did speak to her, finally, she said she was not like herself at all. She seemed very drowsy, almost as if she were drugged. She couldn't finish her sentences.
Her cousins say there were several red flags over the years, and pleas for help from the authorities and Child Protective Services fell on deaf ears.
It was countless calls, letters, emails. My cousin, who is also Samantha's sister, had sent me documents, saying, we feel like Sophia's in an unsafe environment. Her mom has taken her. We know she's prostituting and she has her and she's in a hotel somewhere like this.
If y'all ask me, and I know we're still watching the videos, I apologize for pausing, but I do got to say this before we even get there. Based on what I understand from this story, the mom left her daughter, abandoned her daughter, used her daughter, and abused her daughter, dropped her off in the thug lion cage. And I think this story of baby Sophia Mason, this story should be an example of when you drop your children off in these dangerous situations or even participate in it, if you know about it, don't do anything about it, see something and don't say anything, I think you should get a life prison sentence, especially if it ends in the death of a child, especially if it's your child. How many of y'all agree with that? I think the mom, whatever sentence that they get, the mom needs to at least get equal, if not a greater sentence. Because she dragged the child out of grandmother's care for no reason at all. Dragged her out of the grandmother's care in order to put this little girl in this situation. So I think the mom should be more culpable than mom's boyfriend.
This isn't safe, but they ultimately would say, well, she's with her mom.
Samantha Johnson was adopted by Melanie Verlotti and Melissa Harris's aunt Sylvia. They say she struggled with mental health issues, including bipolar disorder and schizophrenia.
She would take Sophia up and down the coast in Northern California, Southern California, in and out of different hotels while she was prostituting.
There were also signs of physical abuse at the hands of her mother. In the following year, Sophia's cousins say hospital workers began taking photos of the child's scars and bruises. That's when Samantha fled the hospital with Sophia. Police issued a warrant for her arrest and ultimately arrested Samantha this week. During the child's disappearance, Samantha led police to her boyfriend's home.
My sister and I are hoping to speak for her in some regard. It is an absolute tragedy that she didn't get to live a full life. But not only that, as Melanie said, but to bring awareness to the fact that I think it's widely known that our social services system is overburdened.
The family also tells me a Bay Area women's shelter once contacted Child Protective Services saying Samantha was starving her child, but no action was ever taken. Tonight, the coroner's office is still working to positively identify the child. Brian.
So this child was so messed up and probably decomposed that they had to use dental records just to identify her. And I'm pretty sure there are probably even more worse details, which will probably come out in court. It's just sad to think about that.
A Hayward mother allegedly spoke chilling words to family members just days before police found her 8-year-old daughter dead in her boyfriend's house. Prosecutors charged Samantha Johnson with murdering her daughter, Sophia Mason. Sophia was reported missing to the Hayward Police Department on March 8th after her grandmother received a disturbing phone call from Samantha.
Samantha called my aunt and said, I'm going to come visit you today or tomorrow. And this time I won't have So-So, which is what we called Sophia. I won't have So-So with me. It'll just be me and you like it used to be, like it always should have been. Not her taking the attention. And that's what raised a red flag to my aunt. And she said, where is Sophia going to be? Where is she? What'd you do with her? And at first she just kind of joked around. And finally Samantha said, I got rid of her. I was tired of her.
Sophia lived most of her life with her grandmother in Hayward, but last year her mother came and took her away. Investigators found Sophia's body on March 11th inside Samantha's boyfriend's house in Merced County. The boyfriend, 34-year-old Dante Jackson, is still at large and wanted by police. He went on the run just before investigators served a search warrant in his house. Jackson was also charged with murder, and anyone with information on his whereabouts is asked to call Hayward Police.
First of all, turn yourself in. If you are adult enough to make a decision like killing a child, be adult enough to turn yourself into the police and take accountability for your actions. Second of all, how dare you? That little girl was loved and she was precious and she was not supposed to be a part of whatever activities you had her involved in. There's no reason at all to hurt a child.
Sophia's family is calling out Alameda County CPS for not doing more to help the girl. They said they warned CPS that Sophia was being starved by her mother and physically abused by Jackson. CPS Alameda County declined to comment for this story.
They always decline to comment. I get so sick of hearing that. But when are they going to start to give us some real answers about the fact that you got warnings, somebody saw something, said something, suspected something, and knew that there needed to be a welfare check, and they did not go handle business? What's the point of them even having their positions? What's the point of CPS then? When they won't even get up out of their damn offices to go do their jobs. They just close cases and say that what do they call it? It's unfounded. The claims are unfounded. That's what they tend to say. And we have another dead child. Isn't that something? Please click that thumbs up and share this video and share Sophia's legacy. Please make sure to share this video by clicking that thumbs up. We got one more video.
It was last week that child was found dead in her mother's boyfriend's home. And KRON 4's Amanda Harry is live for us at that vigil. She's going to tell us now what it was like there this evening as family and friends.
Did she just say visual? I hope she said vigil. Let me hear that again. She might have got it wrong. We get stuff wrong sometimes.
It was last week that child was found dead in her mother's boyfriend's home. And KRON 4's Amanda Harry is live for us at that vigil.
Vigil. So yeah, she did get it wrong, but whatever. We all get stuff wrong.
She's going to tell us now what it was like there this evening as family and friends were remembering this beautiful 8-year-old girl. Good evening, Amanda.
Good evening, Justine. There is a lot of support here for Sophia's family. I actually spoke with some of them last week before the coroner's office had confirmed that it was Sophia's body. And they say since that news, it's been very, very hard. But an event like this with so many people, I'm gonna take a step out of the way so I can zoom in here and just show you all these people still gathered here to remember Sophia, are here supporting her family. And this is helping them. While dozens of people gather here at Hayward City Hall to remember 8-year-old Sophia Mason, Hayward police say a man suspected of murdering her is still at large. Homicide detectives around the San Francisco Bay Area and Merced County, where she was found, are searching for Dante Jackson. Sophia's second cousin, Melissa Harris, says they're here tonight to honor Sophia's memory, but also to shed light on her case.
Keep
the public's attention on the case. We don't want it to fade out of the news. We don't want it to fade out of people's hearts and their minds. We want Sophia to be present in everyone's lives until her killers are brought to justice.
They also are calling for changes to the Child Protective Services system so things like this don't happen again. I want to show you Dante Jackson's picture one more time here. This is the man police are looking for right now. The family says if you happen to see him, to call Hayward Police with any information. Live in Hayward, Amanda Harry, Cron 4 News.
I wouldn't feel bad if that dude get beat up before somebody called the police and deliver him and tell them where that fool hiding at. But I can almost guarantee y'all, that there is some woman out there who's lower than a bow-legged caterpillar, real low, that's probably hiding and harboring that fugitive of justice, harboring this alleged person who did these sexual and abusive things to this little girl, and the mom allowed it to happen and then abandoned her kid at this man's house. If you ask me, they both need life in prison. Just if you look at this story, what reason do they ever need to get out of prison? What reason do they ever need to be in our society again? I don't see any reason at all. They're not doing anything productive. They're both breaking the law. The mom is out here selling her body for some spare change, out here doing drugs and all kind of other stupid crap. I'm sorry, but they're just some people that just ain't gonna get right. And I think that is these two individuals, mom and mom's boyfriend. They both are fully 100% culpable. I don't want anything less than no bail whenever they are arrested. I don't want anything less than a life sentence for the murder, the molestation and abuse, lying, cheating, and everything else that happened to Sophia Mason. This baby cannot speak for herself. She cannot defend herself. And she was at the absolute mercy of her own creator, her mother, which is absolutely sad. And all mom had to do was take her miserable, stank-haired looking self and mom's boyfriend with a mouth and gap wide enough for people to park cars in between. All they had to do is just go off and go leave this kid alone. But mom wanted to get and collect every little drip out of that little girl. Every benefit out of that little girl. And like I said, for that, not only will they need to face the justice on earth, but after earth, whenever they leave this earth and whenever they meet their maker, I think that there will be an amazing judgment against them in the pits of hell. There's a special place in hell for child molesters and child murderers. And I think that's going to end up being both of these two. Baby Sophia, beautiful little princess. We wish you an RIP. This world failed you, sweetheart. Thank y'all so much for listening to her story, but we got a lot more to talk about because we're definitely going to follow up with this story and let you guys know what the conclusion is when they go to court and potentially give you guys some more details about it, okay? Thank you.